we're at episode, what, 10, 12, 9, 8?
9.
30? 9. 9. 9's a good number. I love the number 9. You know, Jonathan read a review on one of our previous podcasts, and it was amazing. Joe Brown 2020. Shouts out to you, Joe Brown 2020. I think we've mentioned you in every single episode since you reviewed, because you gave us the one sparkling review. But we got a different review here, a significant review. I happened to come by this on the internet. Jonathan, with your permission, I'd like to share this. Is it okay?
It was a very negative review.
I disagree. I disagree. In the vein of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with James Lipton and Inside the Actor's Studio.
Oh, we're talking about this one. No, there was another one that was super negative. No, this is good. Yeah,
this is the good one.
Yeah, this is good.
So, in the vein, I'm going to read this as James Lipton. If you don't know who James Lipton is, just Google it.
Just enjoy the voice.
Yeah, just enjoy the voice, or look up Will Ferrell from Saturday Night Live, because he also did skits as James Lipton inside the Actor's Studio. But I digress. Here we go, and I'll keep this as short as possible. This is a lengthy, and well-intentioned review. This person loves the person that they're reviewing. So here we go. There are songwriters, and actors, the type of people who have a mastery of their craft and the respect of their peers. Jonathan Jordan is a San Francisco-based personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and nutrition coach. And in his opinion, the personal trainer is Jonathan Goodman, founder of the PTDC. His website is more oriented towards helping other personal trainers, but there are plenty of articles and videos for anyone looking to pick up a few tricks. There's no better qualified in the world of online personal training than Jonathan Goodman. He literally wrote the book on it. His first book, Ignite the Fire, is like the Bible for personal trainers across the world. He perfected the model for online personal training well before its time and has become a mentor and luminary in this space. Jordan says, building on the success of his website, theptdc.com, he launched the first online personal training certification and continues to be the most sought after trainers by both personal trainers and the general population. He is the man.
That was like a weird combination of James Lipton and Dr. Evil.
It got a little weird. I lost the voice there in somewhere.
It was a long thing. So let's just call that the ad for the Online Trainer Academy.
Yeah, that's the ad.
Do the one for PT Distinction real quick. Let's do that one.
All right. So you guys, first of all, PT Distinction is the premier coaching software for educated trainers to build successful online personal training business. We've worked out a deal. Jonathan Goodman, who is the personal trainer, as we just heard, worked out a deal where you get 60 days of no cost, involvement with PTDC, 60 days free $99, which is double 30 days, which is twice as much because Jonathan Goodman is twice the personal trainer's personal trainer. We appreciate that, Jonathan. And I guess, can we start the show?
I'm going to read a little bit from this really negative review too.
I love it. Do it.
Because I think it's really important for people to see that not everything you do is positive and not everybody loves everything you do, and that's okay. Because this comes from a person who is an Online Trainer Academy student, loves the program, loves the course, but doesn't like the podcast very much.
Oh.
I understand the idea of the first podcast was imperfect action, but I think there may be a better way to do this. I'm going to be completely honest. The majority of the podcast was a waste of my time. I kept listening because I was hopeful it would turn around at some point, but it took at least 30 to 40 minutes before it turned around. I don't mean for this to sound rude at all, but if I had to decide if I was going to continue to listen to the podcast after that first episode, it would be a strong no. So not every message you get is going to be positive, everybody. And it's important to listen to constructive criticism. And it's important to decide whether it's, something you're going to go with and continue to go with. This is from somebody who we all really respect. And they didn't like the podcast. So that's cool. We're still having fun. We're still figuring it out as we go, and we're glad that you're here. And thanks for leaving your review. Hello, my name is Jonathan Goodman, and welcome to the Online Trainer Show, by the way. Today is episode 9, and our topic is how to produce content to actually get clients and not take forever while you're doing it in the process. Episode 9, we made it, fam. We made it. Let's do this thing.
This is the Online Trainer Show, Trainer Show, Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
So, you got to see the contrast between what you would like to have happen and what actually happens. Unfortunately, I don't know that we're going to improve on this particular episode, but we've got it on our radar. Like we're making a strong attempt to do better.
I think the important thing is anytime you do something that is interesting, that's different. I mean, most podcasts are really, really stodgy, right? Most podcasts are like, here's the information, A, B, C, D. And some people like that. And the reality of it is those people are not going to like this podcast. Like, we knew that going into it. But I went into this and planning this podcast with a hypothesis that there were a lot of people who would otherwise listen to a podcast about online training, about online fitness business development, that don't, because, they're just kind of boring. They're kind of uninteresting. They don't really have a personality. They're not that much fun. And really, if you wanted to really learn how to do online training, you would enroll in the Online Trainer Academy, right? You would read one of my books. Podcasts are not for people to really learn how to do something. What podcasts do really, really well is they give you a lot of, as we'll see today, they give you a lot of nuance. They give you a lot of deeper understanding around a subject to help you think and understand it in a different way. In addition, what podcasts really allow you to do is they allow you to hear just enough about something so that you can decide whether you want to then go and learn more about it and potentially introduce you to people who might be able to help you, teach you about that thing. If you like us, then you'll probably like learning from us. But you don't really listen to podcasts with like a pen and paper wanting to take down notes, right? And so that's kind of the hypothesis. So as we get better and better at this, we're going to get better and better at delivering information that is useful, that is motivational, that gives you some sort of an idea of how to actually act. Like today we're talking about content. I'm going to give you a lot of background information about not just how to convert with your content, but how to think about content before you even start putting it out. Because so many people start producing content, way too much time on content, and just waste so much time because they're putting it in the wrong place. They're talking the wrong way. They're trying to do too much in too many different places. They're listening to too many people about it. So I'm able to give a lot of background information on that, which is really, really exciting. But at the same time, like anytime that you produce content, this is actually a nice segue, you're never going to be able to produce something that's interesting, that's unique, that really appeals to one person, that doesn't oppose somebody else, that doesn't make it so somebody else doesn't want to listen to it. You could never make something for one person. Absolutely.
What Jonathan's saying is that we are challenging the last reviewer and Joe Brown 2020 to a battle royale. That's what we want to get in the stage. We pitch you guys against each other. You guys are polarized on opposite ends of the Online Trainer Show, and we want to see this put to test in blood sport. I'm kidding.
Well, the truth is, man, if you get 100% positive reviews, like you're not doing anything. Like nobody, if you got 100% positive reviews, I would be very worried.
Yeah,
if we got 100% positive reviews, and if you get 100% of people basically patting your back on something, that means that you're not creating anything that's meaningful enough to basically have people hate it. One of my books that I wrote, how many books did I write, man?
I think there's 11 of them.
Something like that.
Not that I've ever heard you say it before.
Yeah, right. One of the books that I wrote was called Vowonomics, and the actual logo on the cover of the book is a big V, and at the end of the V, there's a whole bunch of dots kind of coming out. And if you actually pay attention to that logo, you'll see that every single dot has 2 nodes. And what that's meant to signify is that at every node of your network, every time you put out a piece of content, every person that you meet, you need to create some sort of emotional reaction in them. So as you're producing content, you need to create some sort of an emotional reaction with them, negative or positive. Apathy is the absolute worst thing that can happen when you're producing material online. And the thing is, if you create content that people really love, that's interesting, that's different, that really touches people's buttons the right way. That's probably sexual. Touches people's buttons the right way. If you create content that does that, they're going to share it because they share it as an extension of themselves, right? A lot of people don't want to articulate their own thoughts. Either they don't feel comfortable to, they don't have the confidence to do it, or they're just too lazy, to be honest, to create their own material. So they share yours as an extension, as an articulation of their own thoughts. Other people will share material that they hate because what that does is it helps them show off how much smarter they are than this other person who created material and how much their opinion matters. Nobody shares anything that they're just okay with. And so the logo of that book, and actually the primary theory of that book, is if you want to create material that shares, if you want to create successful material, you have to make it interesting enough, emotional enough, so that, and understand your target audience enough, the nodes on your network enough, to know what they're going to either love or hate, and then produce material that lines in that. And that's actually really, really scary too, because you're going to get messages that, if you're not prepared for it, if you can't kind of put it in the right bucket, you're going to get messages that's like, oh my God, like this is an awesome person who's bought our programs, who's loved our programs, who we seriously respect, that doesn't like this thing that we're doing. And that sucks. But the truth is, this one element of what we do is not for them. And that's okay.
That's okay. Everybody can't love everything,
Yeah.
and if everybody loves everything that you do, you've probably got a very short, tiny mustache, and your last name rhymes with Stifler, and your first name sounds like Adolf. So we get it. We respect your autonomy. Here's what we do at the online. Can I tell the people what we do at the Online Trainer Show? Here's what we do here.
What I would love to know what you think about what we do, because we've never talked about this.
Well, here's what first thing we do is we respect you.
Yes. So much.
Yeah, we respect you.
Yes.
We care deeply about you, and we respect your autonomy to enjoy or not enjoy the Online Trainer Show. We're going to give you great information either way. We're going to bring the energy. All three of us sometimes are going to be here out to you. Not that anybody's noticed any difference in any of these shows, in regards to this one.
I think actually this is turning out to be our best episode yet, and I can't figure out for the life of me who's missing.
There's something that I can't put my finger on that's really different about this show, and I just can't articulate it. But I feel so free today for some reason. I feel it feels like I've had on some Fruit of the Looms that were maybe 2 sizes too small, and I get home and I just get to wish those suckers right off. And I'm just free falling. Like I'm just, that's how I feel today. I feel a freedom.
I've known you for a little while, and I've never looked at you and thought, no, there's a tighty whitey guy.
Yeah.
I have never thought that you would be a tighty whitey guy. So this isn't something that like dudes ask each other.
No.
You don't go up to a dude and you're like, yo, you're a tighty whitey guy. But like sometimes you can tell. Like I have a buddy, like one of my best buddies is a tighty whitey guy. Yeah. Like I know him and I've known him for like 30 years. So I know because I played hockey with him and everything like that. But even if you walked up to that guy in the street, you'd be like, yo, you're a tighty whitey guy. But I would not have expected that from you. Not a bad thing.
You just never know a person though, right? I mean, it just speaks to what you're saying. Like you're all
buy those in now. What do you buy Fruit of the Loom tighty whities in now? Like, what is it? Like packs of 5, packs of 8?
You have those. It's an Amazon thing at this point. Like they're not in retail. It's exclusive. Not unlike your hockey stick Excalibur. But we've got a topic today actually. And what did we talk? I always lose the topic. Is it like, have you guys noticed how?
Amber, help us out. Pick us up.
How to create content that converts.
Oh, well, this wouldn't be that. Man, we're grasping straws here. But I was going to say something. Oh, yeah, tidy whities. You got to order them now. It's a total Amazon thing.
Okay.
Have you seen the ad where there's new versions where the boys have their own hammock now? So now.
Really?
What's a hammock? Tell me what a hammock is.
A hammock is a separate pouch that the boys go in so they don't get stuck to you. The boys. Your balls.
Oh, those.
I was trying to go a little cleaner, but if you're going to...
No, you were going highbrow. We are very lowbrow on this show.
So I know where we stand on cursing. I wasn't sure where we stood on anatomy. So, but there's new underwear for like tidy whities, but a place for your testicles to rest so they don't stick to you. So.
For your testicles to rest.
For us.
That is something that I never thought that I would hear said in a professional, business-oriented piece of content that my company produces. Well, I'm glad that now all of our listeners know that Fruit of the Loom makes underwear that has
well, it's not Fruit of the Loom,
for your testicles to rest. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like if Ren felt like he needed to, if he's got tidy whities that are too tight, that might be a solution for him.
Yeah, if you let the avocados ripen. I think it's a good time for us to switch over to today's topic. I don't know if the FCC regulates podcasts at all. We don't know a whole lot about them. I think we've tripped over into a separate area.
They just let you do anything on these things.
Yeah.
Anybody can just talk into anything and be like, go on the internet. Like, you can do anything. How is that possible?
We've certainly done anything here today.
We have, and it's only going to get worse. I think I sang "We've Only Just Begun" like 4 episodes ago. I feel like this is just a very quick fall off a cliff.
Yeah. So people want to know about content, Jonathan.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Right away, we brought that message to you right away, and you're like, I don't want to talk about it that way. I want to get a higher level view. And when we always respect what Jonathan says because he's in charge. You refer back to the short mustache comment from earlier, but so we like to listen to him when he says things. But Jonathan, you wanted to explain content in a different way. Give sort of a high level understanding of the purpose first. Mm-hmm. Talk to us. Share with the people, Jonathan.
Share with the
people. Your stage, sir.
I think the most important thing to know about content is, and we'll talk about like a couple little things you can do to convert from content, mm-hmm. which is not like, it's important, don't get me wrong. But what most people fail with content is they try to do way too much with way too little thought in way too many places. What they don't realize is that if they took even one step back and built the littlest bit of strategy behind what they're doing, they'd be able to take 3 giant leaps forward. The problem is that it's so hard to be on the internet these days and see what everybody else is doing and feel like you're already so far behind that you can't really stop. It's so hard to stop and take that step back because you feel like it's going to put you even farther behind. But I'm telling you right now, it's super, super important to do that. When it comes down to making content, like, who are you making it for? If you're trying to appeal to everybody, you're going to appeal to nobody.
Right.
Think about even within your audience, within your 1%, who are you making for? What type of people are you making it for? What are the subsections of those people? Can you create every piece of content that you make? Can you make it so that 10% of your audience is going to love it and 90% of it isn't going to care? Mm-hmm. And that seems weird to say that. But the reality of it is, if you try to make 100% of your content and 100% of your audience care about 100% of your content, what will happen in effect is nobody really cares about your content. If you're able to systematically create material that a small subsection of people really care about because you go so narrow, mm-hmm. those people one by one are going to stick around the next time that you kind of talk about that thing or create content that way. There's a heuristic that I really love. It's actually, to give you a little bit behind the scenes of our company, it's actually what we base the entire marketing plan of the year on, is this single heuristic. Heuristic is a rule of thumb. It's John Goodman's word of the day.
Not to interject, I don't have any idea what you're saying there, John.
We need a word of the day jingle. You need a button. Amber, press the button.
I really do, because or a thesaurus or something.
Yeah.
Phone book so I can seem taller. I'll choose Thor's for next show.
We'll put it down then.
So it's heuristic,
Heuristic,
Okay.
Heuristic. So heuristic, which basically means a rule of thumb.
Okay.
And the heuristic is, if this is you, then this is for you. That is what is behind our marketing plan for the year at the PTDC. That's what we're building our marketing promotions on internally. That's what we build our content plan on internally. Everything that we do, we ask ourselves, is there a segment of our audience that this will be specifically for? When we're creating our marketing, when we're creating our sales copy, can we identify who it's for and say, if this is you, then this is for you? Think about the 3 most recent books that I put out, the Wealthy Fit Pros Guides, right? Book number 1, Starting Your Career. If this is you, then this is for you. If you are a new trainer or want to be a trainer, this is for you. The Wealthy Fit Pros Guide to Online Training. If you're interested in online training, this is for you. Like, it's that idea of building that strategy behind your content in the beginning of saying, what are the major problems? What are the major demographics, psychographics of the people that I'm trying to serve? Can I create something either on a small scale, like a single piece of content on the web, or a big scale, like a book? Can I build something that is actually specifically for them? So that when somebody has that problem or somebody they know has that problem, that thing is going to be recommended, because very few people will do this. Very few people will go that narrow, because you could never build a business going that narrow. But if you build a business whereby throughout the year you have periods where you're going that narrow systematically throughout the year, and you say, okay, these couple weeks we're doing a theme week for this segment of the audience. Next couple weeks we're doing a theme week for that segment of the audience. Then what you can do is you can work backwards and you can say, okay, well, who are partners that I could work with? Who are other experts in that one segment of the audience? Can you include them in your content? Can you bring them in as guests? Can you do collaborations with those specific people? And systematically grab their traffic and bring it back to your platform, one by one by one by one by one by one by one. That's how you have to think about your content, because everything kind of flows from that. The people who you work with, the people who you collaborate with during those times. And then it comes down into where you actually put the material. And I think people try to do way too much in way too many places these days. I believe very strongly that you're going to be pretty crappy at whatever you do for a long time when you start it. This podcast is a good example of that. We're putting in reps. Yeah, man, we're putting in reps. We're not crazy promoting the podcast, simply because we know that some people are listening to it now, which is awesome. And every episode that it takes for somebody to find us, we're going to be a little bit better.
Right.
Because that's how you get better at things. Your body gets stronger by you doing more reps. Your skills get stronger by you doing more reps.
Right.
You try to meet the girl of your dreams. Do you want to meet the girl of your dreams when you're just starting to exercise, don't feel that confident about yourself? Or would you rather meet the girl of your dreams if you believe that there's only going to be one 2 years into your journey, after you've been working out for a while, now that you have all this confidence and you can, like whether girls like muscles or stuff like that, I'm not sure, but they definitely like guys that are confident.
Right.
And so if you're not confident about yourself, you might shoot yourself in the foot. So you're going to not be good at whatever you do. If you're producing content, you're not going to be good at producing content until you put in a lot of reps. So what does that mean? That means that you've got to take time on one platform and build in the skill set on that platform. And that means a whole bunch of different stuff. Let me give you an example of YouTube. Let's say that you love doing video. Okay, and this could go for any medium. Let's say that you love doing video on YouTube. Look at any YouTuber, even the most famous YouTubers. Go back to their accounts at the first year that they were doing content. Their videos are junk. They were not good. They got better and better and better. And in getting better, they got better at all elements of that content production. And that's the key. And that's what I want to really talk about before we talk about actual maybe tricks to convert. Because getting really good at content development means that, A, you've got to understand the platform. So if you're doing YouTube, you've got to understand how YouTube works, what it chooses for. You've got to understand the history of the platform. You've got to understand where the platform's going. Right. The same thing with podcasting, the same thing with writing articles, the same thing with Instagram, the same thing with Facebook. You've got to really understand the platform. Mm-hmm. Then you've got to take a look and say, who else is on that platform now that I eventually want to be connected with? Basically build what we call a Dream 100 list of people who are already using that one platform who are successful with it. Who do you want to be connected with? That's your networking. Those are the events you go to. Mm-hmm. Those are the people you talk to. When you are on social media, you are either a producer or a networker, meaning that you're producing content or you're connecting with people. You're not mindlessly sifting. And if you're connecting with people, you're being very strategic about who you're connecting with. Try to comment on 10 things and send 10 DMs every day with people on that list in that field. Because slowly then you'll build up connections with them. Check what content the most successful people are posting. See if there's any patterns. Test out content on yourself. See what happens. And then build your skill set with that medium. So if it's YouTube again, okay, well, you got to figure out a little bit about video production, don't you? You've got to figure out a little bit about what captions convert. How does stuff rank in YouTube? And then you've got to build your own skill set at it. Which means, well, maybe I'm going to take some improv comedy classes. Maybe I'm going to study to become a better speaker. And then you just got to get reps. You just got to film videos and videos and videos and videos.
Right.
And then the final step is, how are people making money from this platform? And that's where the networking comes in, because if you can have open conversations with people that are actually making money on the platform, you'll get real advice. But those are the courses you buy, right? Those are the books that you read. How are people actually converting users from this platform? What are little hacks, little tricks that you can kind of take advantage of? And it's platform specific. And I recommend you spend 6 months on a single platform before you even think about going anywhere else. I'm telling you right now, there's more than enough business doing literally anything for you as an online trainer to build a very good business of yourself, even with a few trainers working for you. Anywhere. You could go to your local Toastmasters and network in that, and there's more than enough business. You could do any of these things. It's just a matter of choosing one. The issue is trying to do too many, because you see everybody else doing too many and you think they most likely must be successful. And like, maybe they are, maybe they're not. A lot of the time they're not, or they've simply been doing it a long time.
Right.
This is a podcast we're doing called The Online Trainer Show. I started the first course teaching people how to become an online trainer in 2013. We built up our audience with content, with articles, with email marketing. Mm-hmm. Then when we were ready, 2017, we built a Facebook group. Learned everything we could about Facebook groups, crushed Facebook group. Okay, that's great. Now we're adding into it paid advertising and a podcast. These are just arms to the octopus that we're adding in systematically.
Right.
We still don't do YouTube. Right? We still don't do Instagram, really. So my point is with content, like what is it you're trying to accomplish? Who's there? How do you use that thing? And then how do you get better at all elements of that thing? Most people won't do this. And so if you do, you will stand out quickly, but it will take some time. And it will be really hard because you'll feel like everybody else is moving faster than you. You'll feel like you're missing opportunities. And I get that. I feel that. But the key to mastering content, when it's so noisy, is not to do the same thing as everybody else. And you have an advantage that it's so easy to produce content these days. And so many people are doing it that there's so much crap that if you take the littlest bit of time to take a step back and build a strategy and execute and get good, you will start to leave people in your dust. And what saddens me is that most people listening to this won't ever do that. but I hope that they do.
Tell you what saddens me is the amount of people that are probably listening to this. But
I think that's great. It's like, bro, we're on episode 9? We've had we got our stats every once in a while. Like thousands of people listening to this already. Isn't that amazing?
I have the same conversation with people in regards to content because I produce a good amount of content. To be an individual, I produce a lot of content. And they always say, I want to get more people. I want to get more followers. I get more eyes on me.
Yeah.
Would you please follow me? And I always say, what would they be following? Like,
yeah, right. Why? Please follow me. Why? Give me one good reason and I will.
Right. You're currently boring 9 people to death. Do you want to put 900 to sleep today also? Like, get good at the content first, right? Yeah. Figure out what your voice is, what you're doing. The great thing is when you do it organically, your skill level is commensurate with the amount of people that are seeing what you're doing, right? Do we want 500,000 people listening to this podcast today? As we out?
Not at all. There are a couple stories that guide me and that have guided my business development for a lot of years that I always remember. And what's particularly interesting about these stories is I have no idea whether they're true or not. You hear about something somewhere from a book, somebody tells you, and for whatever reason, you could hear 1,000 stories. For whatever reason, this one stays in your brain.
Are you gonna share a story? I love it when you share a story.
I'm gonna share the story with you because this story has stayed with me, and it guides a lot of what I do. I don't know whether it's true or not.
May I jingle your story first before you tell it?
Yeah, let's do it.
John Goodman story time. All right, you can do it now.
That was good. That was a good jingle. We should make more jingles.
More jingles.
The story goes, when Google started, you have Eric Schmidt, one of the founders of Google, where they were looking for investments, and one of their investors poured like a whole ton of money into them. And again, I have no idea whether the story is true or not. This is the way that I remember it. And what matters is less the story, but like the reason behind the story, like the lesson behind the story.
Right.
And so the investor basically looked at Google and they said, man, like you got something great here. We'll give you as much money as you need. Like you got to blast this thing out to everybody. Like blast it out, like put it everywhere. Like we'll give you like $100 million, blast this thing out into the stratosphere. And he said, no. He said, here's the thing. We're good, but we're not yet great. Mm-hmm. And we're getting better every single day. And every day that it takes somebody to find us, we will be a little bit better. And right now, the people who have found us are the people who were ready to have found us. Mm. Early adopters give you much more leeway to make it up as you go. Early adopters are much more accepting. Early adopters love being a part of something building. They love saying that they were there first. It's like the people who love an indie band until they become mainstream.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's not cool to like that indie band, so they move on to the next band that nobody's heard of.
A Joe Brown 2020.
Joe Brown 2020, he's going to be gone by episode 100.
We are.
And so we don't want to get better. We don't want to get better. We don't want to blast this thing into the stratosphere because we're going to keep getting better. And as we do, people will systematically find us when they're ready to find us. And Google turned into what Google's. The PTDC was the same way, dude. I didn't advertise much at all, and we grew slower than we would have otherwise grown. But people found us when they were ready to find us. Early adopters found us back in 2011. Early adopters for online training found us when I was selling 1K Extra, the precursor course to the Online Trainer Academy, in 2013. Didn't blast that out to everybody because I just had this story in my head of, we're going to get enough people, right? We're going to be able to make this thing keep going and keep chugging. And I know that I'm just going to get better and better and better and better and better. And what that's going to do over time is that's going to compound with so much value. Versus if you are able to get yourself out into the universe in such a powerful way that you get a whole bunch of eyeballs on you when you still aren't very good, That's your shot. That's your first impression.
Mm-hmm.
The halo effect is real. You're not going to get another chance. When people find me, I want people to say, where have you been all my life?
Right.
How could I not have found this yet? I don't want people to find me because I shoved myself in their face and they say, yeah, there's not much to this. But that's hard, man. It's hard because it's hard not to compare yourself. It's hard to think that you're moving so slow when everybody's moving so fast and you're going to be left behind.
Right.
I've been through 3 cycles now of, call it internet marketing, which makes me a grandfather in the space. Like really, like people who I've mentored that have mentored other people are now starting to mentor other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how quick these revolutions spin. And I've seen enough to know that everything's new and nothing's different. And platforms might change, maybe. They really don't that much. There's always going to be new stuff. But the buttons that will change, the way that you use the platform might change, but human beings aren't going to. The psychology behind why human beings like content, react to content, use content, it doesn't change, man. And so it's worth it to take time being really good on speaking, on video, on writing, whatever you want to do, because then you can just take that to anywhere. Sure, you want to use TikTok? Great. If you're already a great YouTuber, you're going to have a really easy time with TikTok.
Right.
An easier time. It's a new way to communicate. But if you've built that skill set, because you took the time to build that skill set, you're going to be able to leverage that new technology really, really well, faster than other people. And then when TikTok goes away, because it will, like Periscope, right? Like Snapchat, when it goes away, you'll still have your base platforms on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll maybe start to move it to another platform if you want, but you'll have that skill set. That's the most important thing with content, man. You know, but that's more of a brand thing. So talk to me, Glenn, because you've spoken a fair bit about the difference between branding and marketing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's important to talk about that in light of this conversation about content, because a lot of what I've been saying about content is branding.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'll keep this brief because Amber's going to give me the wrap up signal here soon. Because Jonathan never lets me talk. Marsha. Anyway, so I always use the branding and marketing in relationship terms because it's easy to understand, and I've been rejected a lot. So branding is really, marketing is really asking someone on a date, or if you want to get serious, asking for someone to marry, right? That's what marketing is. But branding is the reason that they say yes or no.
Making the sale.
Yeah, making the sale. Branding is the reason that you do or don't get a date. And what happens all too often in our space, especially online, is that we go out and we pay money to ask 100,000 strangers to marry us, and then we're rejected. We're shocked when 100,000 people say, no, I don't want to marry you. I don't know you. And we get this all the time at PTDC links, right? Guys, how are you guys advertising? How are you doing paid ads? Because I did an ad and nobody responded. Marsha. Ask the 100,000 strangers to marry you, and you've not given them any information.
And what would you think?
Right.
Think about the easiest thing to do is
yes.
If somebody you didn't know were to put out the exact same message to you as you just put out,
right?
What would be your reaction to that message? Okay. Now, if somebody you knew and trusted and liked were to put out that message, what would be your reaction?
Much better. Get a much warmer reaction. You got to be urgent. You got to be patient in the macro and urgent in the micro. Do your daily immediate tasks. Be patient with what those daily immediate tasks are going to provide you over the course of time. And I'm making way too much sense on this episode. I realize that for you listeners. I try not to be this logical or clear ever, but it's the truth, man. Like, You've got to do the thing consistently and let it build. You know what's funny, Jonathan? May I call you Jonathan?
What's that, Ronald?
Did you call me Ronald?
No.
What's funny is I swear you called me Ronald. Meow.
No, I called you Reggie.
Is the same things that we tell people as trainers, our clients, are the people that we coach for fitness.
What's that, Meow?
It's the same advice that we don't trust. We need to get you in the gym consistently. It's going to take time. Over time, we're gonna do progressive over. We don't say progressive overload, but we say over time that the repetition is going to increase, the weight's going to increase. And, before you know it, 3, 4, 6 months down the road, you're going to see some changes happening. We're going to get you to stick with it, build a program that's implementable and it fits in the course of your life, so you never feel like you're on a program. We say all those things, and it's the exact same thing in business. It's exactly the same. You're progressively getting stronger as a YouTuber. You're progressively getting stronger on Instagram.
Think of it as reps, Meow. Think of it as reps. You are just doing rep after rep after rep, and every rep, you're getting a little bit stronger. You're getting a little bit stronger. You're getting a little bit more fit. Each rep, the next rep becomes a lot easier.
Yes.
Each rep, you feel a lot more confident. You look forward to the next rep.
Yes.
But at the beginning, Meow, it sucks. Like when you work out for the first time after a long time off, dude, that sucks. It sucks. You feel sick now. You can't even you want to throw up.
Right.
Because it's so hard.
Right. It really is.
But it doesn't take a lot of time to build some confidence in it, Meow.
I mean, you just got to keep going. That's the main point that we're making here, Meow, is that you just got to keep going. You got to keep going. You don't want to stop. Once you start getting into the reps, just keep building on those reps, and you'll find that success is right around the corner.
I think this was our best episode yet, and I can't put my finger on. I feel like it was an addition; it was subtraction.
It's not. The answer is not presenting itself to me right now, but soon I'll figure out what it was that was different about this episode that causes. But I like to review your word of the day. The word Jonathan's word of the day was heuristic.
Yes.
And I'll use it in a sentence. Ren, there's somebody downstairs waiting for you. Okay, heuristic. Is that correct? Is that how you? Was that the correct usage? I nailed it.
What I like about what we do here is we educate people.
That's all we do. That's
all we do.
I feel more educated every time that I disconnect from this call. I feel much more educated than when I connected to it.
Yes.
And I think I love Jonathan's story of the day. It was Google, and that was a great story, man. I love your stories.
I think what's really important is to think back about what, if you really take a second with a journal or go for a walk or whatever it is, what stories keep coming back to you from your past, from what people have said that just stick in your head, and what lessons do those stories have? I think that's telling. I think that talks about how to be in your true purpose. I had a very good friend of mine. His name is Don Dapani. He was a Hindu monk for 10 years, and he's super interesting dude. Basically, he left home at 8 years old to join a Hindu monastery in Hawaii. And the first thing that they give monks at this Hindu monastery is an Apple computer and teach them Photoshop and Final Cut Pro. Because they believe, speaking of content, they believe that they have an important message to share with the world. Mm-hmm. And part of their responsibility is mastering all of the tools to be able to share that message. Makes perfect sense.
Makes sense.
And so I asked Andapani one time, we were in the lobby of a hotel, and I asked him, he's now an entrepreneur coach and stuff like that, obviously very wise and thoughtful and stuff. And I asked him, how do I know how much is too much? How do I know how much money is too much money? And he said, there's no such thing as making too much money. So it doesn't exist. And I said, what? It seems weird. It doesn't seem like something a monk would say. You guys don't ask for money. That's kind of against what you do.
Very
anti. He said, no, there's no problem with money. He says, make as much as you can. As long as you don't do anything that feels wrong, as long as you're not forced into making decisions that go against your morals, as long as he says, at times you're obviously going to have to do things that you don't like to do.
Mhm.
But overall, you should be energized by what you do. And the minute that you're not, the minute that you are forced to make a decision that goes against what you fundamentally believe, he says,
Right.
That's too much. That's how you know it's too much. He's like, as long as you stay in those lanes, make as much money as you possibly can. And I think about that a lot when I'm making business decisions. And that's helped me avoid a lot of problems with scale as my business has grown. It's helped me put a lot of very important decisions, partnership decisions, investor decisions, into perspective. And I think if we really look back, I think if everybody really looks back and says, okay, well, what is sticky in my mind? And what is that trying to tell me? And you go with that, right? You drive forward with that and always remind yourself about those stories, about the lessons of the stories, and stay in those lanes. I think you're going to be a fundamentally successful and happy person in whatever you do. And I think it's very hard to stay in those lanes because there's a lot of pressure outside of it. Every business group that I'm a part of, I'm in a bunch of like sort of high-end private type business groups.
Uh-huh.
The first question anybody ever asks anybody is, how many staff do you have? How many employees do you have? It's all just a chest bumping competition. It's a show off thing. And it's so hard to be in that room and not desire a company that is bigger than everybody else's.
Uh-huh.
But going back to that story helps me stay in my lane and say, no, like I know what I want to build towards. And I think it's important that all of us kind of have those stories that guide us. And when we hear a story that really stands out to us, that seems like it probably should be reasonably inconsequential, but it really stands out to us, take a second, take note of why that is. Because that's probably telling you something about how you should be, what you should do. Amber, how did we do today? What was missing today? Have you been able to figure it out?
Yeah, I'm still trying to put my hand on it. Not sure.
Huh.
I'm excited to see the show notes, though.
We'll try to figure it out by next time.
Yeah.
Amber's basically telling us that we have not talked about the show notes. So you've been here for episode 9. And as always, show notes can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. Leave us a review. We like the whole spectrum of reviews. Like we want to go across the whole gamut of possible reviews out there. Well, I wanted to mention something else, but I can't remember what it is now. But like and subscribe and follow and tell a friend. And this has been the Two's Company, Three's Crowd episode of the online. We hope you enjoyed it. I guess we'll see you next time or whatever. Do I talk last or you guys talk last? Anybody?
We might want to do one more ad spot for PTD and OTA.
I think we're fine.
I'm kidding.
I think we just did it.
Was that the second ad? I go with whatever Jonathan says because he's, ultimately it's his neck, not mine.
They already paid us. They're not getting the money back.
Suckers.
I'll give you the 2 links. onlinetrainer.com/PTD. Go there, buy it. PT Distinction, Online Trainer Academy, and we'll take care of you. Okay, bye. Yeah.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.